Now, I've heard rumors that the 5th season would be the last. That was sort of your plan initially, right?
That has been the plan. That's right. Yeah.
Are we sticking to the plan?
Yes. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
Big time shit. Go jam your dick up Fallon's ass. You fucked with the wrong Jimmy.
Oh, I see what this is. You think it's fun to bully the first female late night host.
Oh, you think this is bullying? I just don't want to see you end up like James Corden. Did you hear what happened? They found a whole bunch of horse porn on his computer. Happened right after he got a little too friendly with Jennifer Aniston. He had to move back to England. He's sweeping chimneys now. It's really sad.
Yeah. Okay. I have a show to do, Jimmy.
Yeah. Good luck. Break a leg.
Welcome to Behind the Lens. Today, I've got the executive producer, the co-creator, the director, writer, and co-star. And it's all one guy, Paul W. Downs of Hacks, currently, and so many other things, too, which we'll also talk about. Welcome to Behind the Lens.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And thanks for being my co-star.
Well, I'm happy to have done it, one line, but sort of playing a reporter, which I figured out how to do that.
Yeah, well, it was lifelike. It was very good.
It was fun. It was big production, 100 extras there. Or it was like wild.
I gotta tell you, one line is the hardest.
Yeah.
It's so hard to come in for one line.
Actually, you're right.
It's easier if you have more or you have something funny or emotional to do, but if having one line is terrifying.
I used to do that in high school drama. I did to play Importance of Being Earnest, and they cast me as the butler. And I kept thinking that because I had 8 entrances based on one line.
That's very hard. That's very hard. It's okay, you've been trained. That's good.
Yeah. But boy, I got to tell you, people watch this show. I have gotten more response on this. People come up, I saw you on Hacks. And
Great.
I go, wow.
I'm so glad. That's so good. Yeah, it's really, we are so lucky that it's broken through and people watch. We are so lucky.
Did you have any idea when you started this little thing on HBO Max that it would have this kind of response? Winner of the Emmy for Best Comedy Series last year. You've won 2 writing Emmys and nominated yourself. Congratulations in acting, a supporting actor.
I mean, we always hoped people would connect to the show and watch it, but you never know, because there's a lot of great television and there's, it's hard to cut through. So it really is a dream. It's crazy.
So what was your idea in coming up with it? You and your co-creators, Lucia, who's also you're married to.
Yes.
Aniello and Jen Stotsky. You sat around and you said, we're going to do this show. What was the premise?
Well, we were talking about our favorite comedians and a lot of female stand-ups who, were so important to us, but never had the same moment that a lot of their male counterparts had. Some of them had sitcoms, but none of them, became David Letterman or Leno and, hosted a late night show, which obviously this season is about.
Yeah.
And so we were like, it's interesting to examine the life of someone like that through the eyes of a younger comedian.
Yeah.
And we came up with it on a road trip and sent ourselves an email, and that was in 2015. It was 4 years later, I think, that we pitched it. So we had been talking about it anytime we got together. I mean, Jen Statsky was on Parks and Recreation at The Good Place. She also wrote with Lucia and I on Broad City, which is what was keeping us busy in that time. So it was really just when we would get together socially that we would talk about the show because we really wanted to watch it. We were like, it would be a great scene. Or we would have an experience with someone and think, oh, this would make such a good moment in the show. And so we collected moments and really put together what became the whole show from beginning to end over the course of 4 years before we pitched it to HBO Max.
Wow. Yeah. See, it's a long time in development sometimes.
Yes.
Even in your head, developing this kind of a show.
Yeah.
And then getting Gene Smart and Hannah Einbinder and this incredible cast that you put together.
I mean, that's the thing. You can have an amazing idea for something and then it really requires so many pieces, not just the other writers that we have that work on the show, but our cast is so incredible and have made it so much better. And, television is a collaborative art form. There's so many people that make the show what it is. So we are so lucky that it's lightning in a bottle. It's crazy that we have so many great department heads and such a great crew and, so many people that have made it even better than we imagined.
And Jean, of course, she keeps getting Emmys every year for this, but, it's so well-deserved because she's, first of all, in the first 3 seasons, so believable as a stand-up Vegas comic.
Yeah.
Somebody that's been in it for a long time. You're just like perfection in that. Now, this season, she gets her dream of a late night talk show.
Yeah.
Very few women ever get that.
Yeah.
And she's such a natural. I've worked in late night, and, she could walk right on and do that now. I mean,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
so good at that.
Yeah,
Getting that around.
I'm like, I hope that she guest hosts because she is so good,
Yeah.
and she's actually really, I mean, she's done a lot of late night as a guest,
Yeah.
and she's just very comfortable and natural. And I mean, Gina's a great actor. I think if you asked her to be, a Viking, she'd be great. You know what I mean? I think she could take on anything because
Yeah.
she's such a talented actor, but it's really hard to be a believable stand-up and sell the
Yeah.
jokes, and she
Right.
did that so beautifully.
Yeah.
And then to do this, it's like she's honestly, it feels like she's even more at ease behind the desk. You know what's a funny tidbit that we often remark on is when we're doing QVC segments, it's when she actually improvises the most. It feels like she's like, I know what this is, she sort of ad-libs the most when she's doing QVC. It's interesting when she's doing something more presentational.
That's so great, and the way you've developed this season after season to create the conflict between her and Ava, the role played by Hannah Einbinder, and keep that going. I kept thinking when Rhoda came on the air, they had the first great 8 weeks with the greatest before they got married. And then it became argument of the week, and it sort of bogged it down,
Yeah.
Here, you've managed to avoid that because you somehow create these conflicts, keep that going between them, that tension, and then make it all work.
Well, the grist between them is the show, these very different points of view. I mean, that's the thing that we really were excited to explore was two women of very different generations who come at things so differently. And we try to not say that either one of them is 100% right or 100% wrong. They
Right.
both have valid points and change each other for the better is the hope. But I don't know. I think one of the reasons that we have been able to refresh it is because, we always have, it's one step forward, 2 steps back,
Yeah.
right? So it's always about resetting that relationship, but in very different parameters. And this season, Ava's sort of taken the job. She's blackmailed Deborah for the job. So there's a whole different level of intensity. And also they're more on equal footing because she has this job that she can't be fired from because
That's
she has
right.
information on Deborah. So we try and give them sort of a new sandbox to play in every season, even though we do want that dynamic of them butting heads because it's in the butting heads that they crack each other open. And hopefully people recognize that it's also their love language.
Right.
They met, and I think, Deborah would never hire a writer, but she was really turned on by how tough and funny Ava was. And she was like, oh, okay. It's like playing tennis. It's like you want to play tennis with someone who's good. If you're good, you want to have a worthy adversary.
She has respect for her, even though it's an impossible kind of thing for her to admit.
Totally. That's right. Yeah.
And so good. And it's so good, the whole talk show thing this season with all those guest stars that sort of pop on. Carol Burnett.
I mean, that was so
And you're
crazy.
shooting at TV City here and like where Carol did her show.
Yes, we shot steps from her stage. She was like, I have to go see the stage. And she did. She went, checked it out. And there's still a huge Carol Burnett show mural on the outside of those like elephant doors.
Oh,
on the stage,
sure.
Which we featured last season. Because last season we also shot there when Deborah guest hosted the show. And so we had that in the background and had to sort of get permission. But we were like, well, it's a nod to one of the many women who paved the way for not only the character of Deborah Vance, but for all of us that make comedy. So to have a living legend on the stage was really, really special.
Jimmy Kimmel was very funny.
So funny. So funny. And he didn't want to be mean at first to Gene, It's like, but then he leaned into it and it was so great. He was really, really, and brought a lot of his own dialogue. It was really, we were so happy to have him. And he really added, I think, a level of authenticity, having another host of a late night show there, especially in the same city. It was,
I know,
it was
going
wonderful.
after guests and hey, look, I lived that. I worked at talk shows and that guest booking war
is real.
Is so real. It was really real when I was doing it. We were getting threats and all kinds of things.
Really?
And, you'll never do this show. It was Jay Leno. You'll never do the Tonight Show again if you go on Arsenio first.
That's crazy.
Which was what I was working on.
I mean, you could have consulted for the show. I mean,
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, and this show gets it right. Hacks gets it right. It feels authentic in that world, too, which isn't always the case here.
Yeah.
And Julianne Nicholson, I have to point her out because I only see her doing dramatic stuff. Mare of Easttown and, the other one now, the Paradise and all of that. And here she's hilarious.
I mean, she's so good. I found her very funny in I, Tonya. She has comedic
Right.
moments in
Yeah.
that movie, and
Yeah.
we knew that this character was so intense and goes so over the top
Right.
that we thought, well, if we can get someone who normally does dramatic acting to really just play it groundedly. I
Yeah.
mean, the scenario and the dialogue is so wild that it'll play it, I think, even funnier, but she is naturally just so funny and so good. And the amount of variety she brought to the character, I mean, you see a version of it that ended up on
Right.
screen, but
Yeah.
she gives you so much, and she is such a great actress. I'm so glad that she did it. It really sent me to heaven is what I kept saying. I'm in heaven. This is in heaven.
I didn't know how you would top Jimmy last year, for which you got an
Mhm.
Emmy nomination. That scene on the airplane, just classic comedy for me.
Thank you.
But this year it was great. You made equal partners with Megan Stalter's character, and she's so funny.
She is the best.
So we're seeing Jimmy move into a little different kind of stuff, including getting into a knockdown, drag-out fight with Tony Goldwyn playing a Bob Iger type.
Yes.
the head of the network.
Yeah. Yeah. He goes gorilla mode. Yeah. And it's so out of character for Jimmy.
Oh,
So
yeah.
imagine Jimmy getting in a physical fight with someone like Bob Iger.
Yeah.
Absolutely the last thing you'd imagine. But it was so fun. And Tony Goldwyn was so game and
Oh,
so
well.
great. I was like, can we kind of slap at each other? And he's like, but from the first rehearsal was like, well, yeah, we'll dive for it, we'll roll right.
Yeah.
He helped make that.
It was no stunt people here? Was it all you?
No, we had stunt people. We had pads on.
Yeah.
There was nothing on the ground. It was all
Yes.
us. But we had stunt coordinator. There were no
Stunt coordinator.
performers.
Okay.
Yes, Tony and I did all of our own stunts. Yeah.
That was, that was really funny. But yeah, I mean, the show's going in such an interesting way. Now, I've heard rumors that the 5th season would be the last. That was sort of your plan initially, right?
That has been the plan. That's right. Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
we sticking to the plan?
We haven't broken the season yet, and we
Yeah.
always tell the story based on what it requires. So
Yeah.
people may notice that we have never had really the same amount of episodes. It was 10 season 1, 8 season 2, 9 season 3, now 10 season 4, and that's because we don't ever want filler. We want to be
Right.
really economical, and we really don't want to have any fat in there. So it kind of depends on how much story we have to tell. Now, knowing that we are coming to a close in a universe of hacks, we do want to serve all of the characters in the ensemble and give them a proper farewell. So I don't know yet how many episodes that takes. So, but we do know where we're headed. We've always known the last scene of the last episode, and we're
do.
still headed there.
You know the end.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We have since the pitch. I mean, we pitched it to most networks. I will say that at HBO Max, Susanna Makos stopped us before we finished and said, "I'd like to make this show," which was really incredible. But so we didn't tell everybody, but.
Well, this is a spoiler alert if you haven't seen the show, so turn us off right now, but I'm going to go into what happens at the end because it's already run. And we see that TMZ has announced the death of Deborah Vance in Singapore, or was it?
Yeah, she's in Singapore.
In Singapore. And so there's all these questions. Oh, my God, she died. Well, she didn't.
Yes.
And this is what a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
She's now more determined than ever when we leave the end of episode 10.
Yeah.
So that's opening up a whole field for you.
Yeah. I
to
mean,
go play in.
Everybody loves a comeback, and it feels like having lost the show or given up the show, but and then kind of hitting rock bottom. She is sort of retreating, and even though she's sort of forced to do that in the world of the show, perform in Singapore, she's kind of retreated. I think she's still grieving the loss of the show, but this gives us a real powder keg. It really supercharges her and her ambition again and her desire to rewrite her legacy. We kind of, there's that famous story about Alfred Nobel reading his misprinted obituary about being the merchant of death because of inventing dynamite. And I'm sure that I'm doing this story disservice, but and saying, oh, you know what, I don't want that to be my legacy. And that's why he created the Nobel Peace Prize, because he wanted to leave something else behind. So we kind of, are doing a play on that this misprint, which happens a lot with celebrities, that people, write their obituary before they passed to have it ready, and then they leak. Apparently it really did happen to Ava Goda multiple times. Poor guy. But anyway, so it felt like a perfect device for us to wake her up and shake her out of it, and also give us I think a lot of runway for the story engine next season of her determined to rewrite her legacy.
Amazing. Yeah. And then who knows? You know?
Yes, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. I mean, that's
like I told you, everybody watches the show.
I know. I know. And things have changed. We imagined that she was going to host Late Night season 2.
Yeah.
And then it became season 4.
Right.
So things do stretch. They do change, even though we've had the tent poles in our mind.
It's amazing.
For a while.
Your career is so interesting to me. You played Trey Pucker for 5 years on Broad City, which you also wrote, directed, was a writer, director, and executive producer on as well, just like this show. Played the fitness instructor with Alana Glazer's great. She's on Broadway now.
She is. She's in Good Luck. I just saw her. She's fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. And Abby Jacobson. Then Rough Night, which I actually reviewed for Deadline when it came out.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah.
Cool. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was good.
I vaguely remember this now.
It was all good. It was okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And that was fun, which you also co-wrote.
That's right.
There and co-starred with Scarlett Johansson.
That's right. Yeah.
Amazing.
Crazy.
And the Traveling Bong, I must say, I hadn't seen on Comedy Central miniseries where you go back in time and to caveman sex and
Salem Witch Trials to ancient Greece to the 50s. We went to a lot of different.
That must have been fun to do.
It was so fun. It was. I think we shot it in like 12 days. It was so fun, so fast.
Yeah.
That was really. Alana and I laughed a lot on that. We had a good time.
You get a lot of wild ideas. So did this all come from UCB, United Citizens Brigade, this whole kind of a comedy world that you landed in?
Yeah, I mean, I always, I was writing monologues for who? For no one, for myself. But, there wasn't when I was in high school. And then I did sketch and improv in college. And when I graduated from college, I moved to New York and I started doing Upright Citizens Brigade there, which is where I met Lucia and Jen sort of through that alt comedy scene. It all come, and actually that's where we met Abby and Alana also. Abby and I auditioned for Herald teams multiple times together.
Wow.
And we're in improv class together. And we really found our people doing comedy in New York. And so it all does come from that in a way. Yeah.
And you did the internet was made for you. The internet videos, these shorts, they're hilarious. I mean, there was one, The Last Supper, which you did your best Peter Sellers on.
Oh, thank you.
You played every role.
Thank you. Yes, I did.
All made up differently. And the
Peter
whole
Sellers
thing.
is so nice because often people are like, oh, it's like the Clumps. It's but thank you. We were just like trying to, figure out our comedic voice and I wanted to play all these characters. And,
Marky Mark's cousin in Real Housewives of South Boston.
That's a classic. Thank you.
Yes, two-parter, the Christmas show, too.
Yes. We did a few of those. Yeah. We did a lot of digital shorts. I mean, Lucia and I, taught ourselves how to edit and color correct. And if she was in one, I was directing it. If I was in it, she was directing it. So we really sort of touched every aspect of making things. And so it's really how we started developing our love of filmmaking.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, are you developing other shows now as you're doing Hacks? Because I heard about one with maybe Kaley Cuoco.
Yeah, we have a show that's set up at HBO with Kaley Cuoco that's about it's about a woman who I don't know actually. I don't think it's even been announced, so I probably shouldn't say too much about it. But it's about Kaley Cuoco's journey in Kansas City. So
it's got a showbiz theme behind it.
It does. Yeah.
Just as Hacks did.
Yeah. Kind of. Well, it's it's also about people on the fringe. It's about outsiders. It's really about a regional theater and the people that do that. Many of whom are not professional actors. They're lawyers or former athletes or high school kids who all come together and have sort of find their chosen family in this place.
Right for comedy.
Yeah.
That kind of setting is perfect.
Yeah. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
But we have a few irons in the fire. We have a few things that we're developing. I mean, when we're doing Hacks, because we write it with an amazing writing staff, but because Jen, Lucia, and I are on set for every episode, and Lucia and I direct most of them, it is very full time. But
how many did you direct this season?
This season I directed 3.
3, yeah. So
4, 5, and 6, yeah.
And she directs a ton of them and has
most of the others,
DGA and Emmys for directing as well. She's great.
Well, I'm just, trying to copy her.
Yeah, well, you know, she was here on my
I know.
Behind the Lens
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, we got to have Paul this year here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and it just keeps happening. Well, I got to tell you, I look forward to whatever you guys do.
Thank
It's
you.
good. I consumed all 10 episodes this season. I don't normally like to binge, but I consumed them.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to know where it was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good,
Did you?
good.
You obviously shot in Singapore.
We did.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
must be fun.
That was incredible.
You just write this stuff down, Singapore, because we want to go there, and
No, that was actually very specific because we wanted her to go to somewhere far away. We
Yeah.
wanted her to escape, but we also wanted her to go to a place where she could ostensibly be performing with a translator to get around the non-compete. So we needed a place that wasn't
perfect idea.
necessarily like an English-speaking country, even though in Singapore they do speak English. But also we wanted her to be at a casino again.
Yeah.
So to find a place where it was far from home,
Yeah.
but where English wasn't the primary language, but
Yeah.
also where there were casinos, it was actually not, because there's none in Dubai, there's none in Thailand.
No, you
They
can't
have
go to
them in China, but
Morongo
we're
and
gonna-
Palm Springs.
No, you can't go to Morongo. Monaco would be nice, but I don't know. I think it'd be too nice. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That would be. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow. Looking forward to Hack Season 5 coming up again. And this is Paul W. Downs. Thanks for joining us on Behind the Lens.
thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.